hip. Front straight up. That leg up and down, okay? Up and down. When you're thinking about the switching, remember this is the position that you should be working on here. All right, you're going to get a lot more flow that way. Your shoulders will be able to stay low and drop. Because when we start to tense up our shoulders, what happens with our bodies?
Tense.
Everything gets tight, right? So we can only follow what we're doing up here. So just remember, when we're switching, and I'm going to demonstrate it in a second, remember it's about how fast can I get my arms to go from here to here in an exchange, okay? That's going to actually dictate what the speed of my legs are doing. The next thing is, how am I striking the ground? How many of y'all have had shin splints before? Okay. So a lot of that time, this is a few things, is a deficit of the muscle, okay? To be honest, but also more so how you're striking and hitting the ground. So when I'm actually striking the ground, I'm not trying to hit with the toe of my foot, okay? I'm trying to hit right underneath where the ball of my foot is, so about midsole. That's where I'm trying to strike the ground at, okay? Because it's going to be able to absorb better versus if I hit like this, it's going to go straight into my ankle. It's going to compress my ankle, my knees, my hips, everything is just going to impact. Next thing I know, I have all these issues. So if I'm thinking about stepping through, I'm stepping through the midsole. It's a whole different sound than this. You all hear the difference? So it's a different sound, okay? And what we're doing is when we're navigating through this, we're thinking about hitting under our center of mass, okay? So what that means is I'm not trying to strike out in front of me. I'm trying to basically think about my heel as it's locked into this other leg, and I'm just basically lifting my heel toward my butt, bring my leg in front of me, and from this position, I'm just basically stepping right back down, okay? I'm not trying to reach at this point. There's going to be times when we do pass, but for the movement of this specific drill, I'm really just wanting to see everything front side and dropping underneath me. Do y'all have any questions before I show y'all this? No? Okay. Arm is going to be up, and we're just going to do one singular switch. So from here, I'm just going, boom. I'm walking, resetting, dropping again, and that's how I'm going to navigate through the drill, okay? The whole concept is we're going to be checking y'all for your arm speed, the positioning of your hips, make sure that your glutes are engaged. You're stepping through, you're thinking directly down. I'm not thinking out, I'm thinking down, okay? And you hit, and you have to do a whole bunch of drills. I'm not against that, okay? But that's where we have to be at. What we're going to do is we're going to start back. Obviously, we're probably going to back up probably closer to where your shoes are, okay? So you have a little bit of run up. And then what you're going to do, you don't have to do it now because I'm going to demonstrate for you real quick what you're going to do, is we're going to clap on each contact, okay? The cool thing about it is there's 3 different elements that we have to focus on that help us. The first thing is visually what we see. The second thing is acoustically what we hear. So how are my feet hitting the ground? Because if I can hear it, even if I don't see myself running, I can know from hurdle 4 to 5 that I had a flat step, right? If I know what it's supposed to sound like. Plus, it keeps me true to my actual rhythm pattern. So if I have a certain rhythm pattern set, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, something changes, I can also hear that, okay? And the next thing is what I feel, okay? So how am I hitting the ground? That's the next thing. So those are the 3 combination of things that we need during basically full speed things that we're doing to be able to actually navigate it the best way or the most efficient way possible, okay? So the first thing we're doing is we're going to come back to it, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. All right, we're here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, just stay straight with your body. Just imagine this inner part of your body does not move, okay? And then the arm is the only thing that's moving between each of these. All right? You got it? Go, you got it. Let me show you something. I'm going to take my trail leg up, okay? And I'm going to show you where it looks like when I'm actually engaged leaning forward. Okay, so my knee is up, my ankle is here. I'm going to clear that hurdle. It's not going to be hard for me to clear that hurdle, okay? I'm not going to move my leg. I'm just going to change my positioning. I want you to see what happens with my ankle. Y'all see what's happening? And that's not even me moving my leg. So oftentimes when I go to attack into a hurdle, it could be that I actually lead into the hurdle the right way, but because I'm being impatient and I'm trying to think about my runoff already, before my lead leg hits the ground, if I'm still mid-air and I start to manipulate my body by pulling it back, then I don't need to wonder why I hit my trail leg, okay? Because the whole concept of your trail leg isn't an outer rotation, believe it or not. And I'm gonna break that down for you. So, it's not this, okay? So what it is we have to open up the hip. What does that? Okay, the way that my foot is pivoted opens up my hip. So by takeoff, I'm leaving off of the ground like this, but the moment that my foot leaves the ground, it goes out, it rotates out. This now opens up my hip, okay? So still, I'm not thinking about that knee coming out and around, I'm thinking about that knee going straight forward. So my trail leg is literally just driving forward horizontally without this outer rotation if I'm trying to keep it tight to my body, okay? So we gotta disassociate this outer rotational movement, that's not what it is. All right, it's just that my foot is pivoted and then my knee, the passage of my knee is coming from down to up forward. All right, so it's gonna come through here and now I'm in a position just to step down off of that. All right, so what I was talking about with the body engagement, right, over the top, is once you've engaged into a hurdle, so you're in a power position, you take off into it, all you have to do is wait until that lead leg hits the ground. So stay engaged with your upper body into the hurdle until the lead leg hits the ground, and it will correct your body position for you. Believe it or not, okay? So the cool thing is you're naturally gonna have, because I'm pulling and snapping, the opposite of my snapping motion is for my body to want to pull back. So if my body's already engaged, I can still control that impulse. Does that make sense? Versus if I already come out of it early, and then I land, and I'm wondering why I'm like this coming off the hurdle. You see what I'm saying? It's just like if I had, put your hands up real quick, Coach Heavy. If I had a medicine ball that was really heavy, right? And I threw it as hard as I could to her hands, and she didn't actively engage her core, she would fly back with the ball, right? Now what if she engaged about half a second before the ball hit her hand? What if she actively engaged her core? What would then happen? She'd be able to hold a position, right? So it's not anything different coming off of the hurdle, okay? So if I'm coming off of the hurdle, my core engagement is there. If I disengage over the top of the hurdle, I have no more core engagement to allow me to run out of the hurdle properly. Does that make sense? Okay, I want you to focus on when we're doing these drills, okay? So power position means what?
Shifting forward.
Yeah, forward lean, okay? And what are we doing once we engage into the hurdle? Are we disengaging or are we staying in a position? Staying in a position. That's all I want you to remember for right now. I can't give you more than that, okay? To engage this arm earlier, if I'm not in the right position to do so, it's still not going to work for me, okay? So if I come here and I push forward, there's always going to be a slight delay there, okay? So what I want to do is I want to think about, as soon as I push off, and this arm's already, I'm thinking about pulling this back, okay? So I'm here. As soon as I get there, I'm over it. So if y'all notice, my position stayed there and my trail leg cycled right through off of it. And then I'm gonna feel that ground force. As soon as I hit the ground, I'm gonna feel like somebody almost pushed me in my back coming off of it. So I should be displacing right there, not here, okay? Does that make sense? So you're back here, you're lean back, okay? And as I get forward here, I already need to make sure that I get that arm up in time. So when my foot starts to lead off, I'm already pulling that arm back, and it's passing right by that trail leg, okay? Any questions before we start? I want you to ask questions.
Coach, can I add something?
Yes.
So when his arm wasn't synced right, he went more up and down. When it was synced, if you watch, he moved through the hurdle. It's like a push through instead of up and down.
Does that make sense? Focus on it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start. You're gonna have to gauge the distance. That's one thing that you have to learn with hurdle, okay? To know if I'm too close or too far away. So you're gonna stay here, and then you're just gonna start to lean forward and go 1, 2, pop over. When I'm pushing off my trail leg, at what point does my lead arm need to start going down? When I'm taking off or when I'm in the air? Taking off. This is what it should look like. So this foot is my trail leg, and I'm pushing off of it. As soon as it gets up off the ground, the arm already starts to go. Okay, and what happens is when I get over center line of the hurdle, and this is a coach's checkpoint, if I want to see if my athlete is on time, when I'm airborne over the top of the hurdle, my trail leg, my arm should be literally parallel to my knee. So I should almost be passing my knee up right here if I'm on time. If I'm late, I'm gonna be somewhere up here on the freeze frame. Okay, so if somebody took a freeze frame of your video and that arm is, when you're above the hurdle, your arm is out front, you're late. Okay, so all that means is to start the initial descent of that arm or pull early. Okay, so as soon as you have that sensation that the foot starts to come off of that ground, start to pull. All right, because it's going to accelerate the trail leg through. All right, so what I'm doing, again, I'm backing off of it. My opposite leg is up, and then I'm 1, 2, and popping over it. That was the drill. Is basically we're doing still the trail exercise, but we're skipping into it, so an actual skip. Okay. Now the reason why I'm using a skip and not a run up right now is because that's the best way for me to set up your cut step. Because when you're skipping, you're basically cut stepping the whole time. Okay. So it keeps your feet always in close proximity, and it simulates that fast two-step pattern. I'm going to show you my very best where I can hopefully grasp the concept of it, okay? It's going to feel freaky at first, but once you get the distance down and the timing down, it'll all start to tie together, right? This is not one of the best drills that you can do to work on your shoulder efficiency. It just works, okay? Like I've literally done this, but it just, no matter what athlete I had, and it just was drastic on their drops at the time, okay? I'm talking about like 17 seconds down to like 14 drops, okay? Or like 15 down to 13 2, okay? It's just because if we can get those last 2 steps down and stay on top of it, because it's like, it's going to be repetitive. You're going from hurdle to hurdle to hurdle, there's no breaking, okay? So let me break it, let me show you real quick so it makes a little bit more sense. Boom, stepping down, boom, stepping down, boom, stepping down. It's like push. Here, watch what my second to last step does. Okay, you can see me pick that leg up, and I'm going to boom, boom on top of that. Okay.
There you go. I had a pull. Minute the foot push. Come across.